A bold new way to fight heroin trafficking in an Atlanta neighborhood seems to be showing promise, at least so far.
Yeah, the Fox 5 I team first reported in June how local and federal authorities combined with the English Avenue neighborhood to give suspected heroin dealers one last chance to turn their lives around.
Well, Fox 5 I team reporter Randy Travis returns with some cautiously optimistic results. Randy?
We sure hope so, Rush and Tanae. English Avenue is also known as the Bluff, which is also known as the biggest heroin marketplace in the Southeast. 18 known troublemakers were offered what authorities called the deal of a lifetime. So how many chose instead to go back to dealing drugs? There's a subtle change along English Avenue these days. Residents feel it.
The energy in the neighborhood is much slower, and it's an energy of people know something is happening. The word has gone around.
We, as the West Side, we can do better.
Word that first went out during an extraordinary night in June at Lindsey Street Baptist Church.
What we're saying is enough is enough.
97 I come.
They say you were trying to buy heroin. Fed up with an endless cycle of heroin trafficking, gun violence, and shuttered homes, law enforcement and the neighborhood decided to make a remarkable offer.
It's time for a change in English Avenue.
They invited 18 people identified by authorities and neighbors as low-level dealers worth a second chance.
We want you to succeed. We need you to succeed.
Then told them they'd help find jobs, education, rehab, if they'd promise to stop supporting the evil affecting their community.
You all are my people. I love you. I know God is going to do something through you.
Drug dealing is off limits in English Avenue. Understood, right? Because if not, you will now be faced with federal charges. Period. End of story.
Of the 18 people invited, 15 ultimately showed up. So far, the feds say only one, this man, Jatorrian Henderson, went back to dealing on the streets. He's now in federal custody under indictment for selling heroin.
We said that if you do that, we're going to find you and we're going to arrest you. And we've lived up to our promise. I think that sends the right message.
Get ready for a bigger message. Tuesday, authorities plan to stage their National Night Out Crime Prevention Festival right here in the middle of English Avenue's most notorious heroin market. Food and fun, games and education, just like any other neighborhood. Except in this case, it's seizing enemy territory and holding it.
There is a movement for revitalization of this community.
State Representative Mabel Thomas has lived here all her life. 1 out of 15 so far. So, what do you make of those odds?
Well, that sounds good. That does sound good, that 1 out of, because what it is that a word that went into the streets that even though it was the feds, that wasn't going to be hard time. But really, what we know is that with the feds there's no bond, and we know that some of these sentences probably going to be, some of them going to be 5 years and up.
But no one here expects dramatic changes overnight. Just last week, an 81-year-old woman died from a gunshot while sitting on her porch. City inspectors struggle to force property owners to fix up or tear down abandoned buildings that can serve as breeding ground for more crime. But for the moment, a troubled neighborhood can finally take a deep breath and keep an eye on future troublemakers.
What we're trying to do is make sure there's nobody falls through the cracks, just because they didn't get locked up again, but they stay around in the neighborhood trying to figure out what to do next.
Jatorrian Henderson had his detention hearing this afternoon. Prosecutors say they already had hidden camera video of Henderson dealing heroin, and when he walked away from their offer, they say undercover cops later called him on 2 different occasions where he said he would sell them drugs. And he is an 18-year-old young man in a lot of trouble tonight.
He's one of the 15 who showed up.
Right.
What do we know about the other 14?
We know that 3 or 4 of them are still in the program. They got into it, they committed to it, and they're still there. Prosecutors say they're not really sure where the other ones are. They just know, at least they feel pretty good about this, they're not dealing drugs. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 have actually moved out of the neighborhood. They're not sure what they're doing as well there, but if they're not dealing drugs, they can stay in the neighborhood. They won't get arrested on those undercover buys that the feds got them on a month or 2 ago. They just have to stay out of trouble.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a good deal for the guys who get this opportunity.
As we said, deal of the century.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Randy.
Okay, thanks.